Okay, what's going on, people? So, if you own a motorhome, I have important message for you because this is absolute cluster F. I don't own it. My dad does. This is a 2002, 2001 camper. Obviously has low miles, like under 50,000, maybe 40,000 miles on it. They don't get used a lot. If you bought one on this on the Copart or whatever you bought it. So the story was on this, the radiator started leaking, and this is your training cooler goes over there because it's a pusher. Engines in the back, I show you in the transmission, and this is your hydraulic cooler. And right underneath here, right there, see, it's brand new radiator. We just put in and finished in, and we actually ran it. So I gotta weld this in. The whole point of the video, there's 2 points of this video. I really thought this radiator needs to come off from the bottom, so I ordered a radiator, come to find out wrong radiator, and then I scheduled an appointment with one of the truck shops because they have a lift. They can lift the whole thing up and pull the radiator out from the bottom. But then I started looking, I'm like, it does not come out from the bottom. It's supposed to come out from the side. That's why we took all this paneling off. So this paneling, it's literally just screw on by self-toppers screws. And the piece, this piece goes here, which is this. It's glue on, so I need to take all this glue off, re-glue it, and then stick it back on, and it's done. So we got the radiator done. It's really not that big of a job, but this subframe, whatever you want to call it, with the whole body made, there's no way you got to be without it cutting this bottom panel off. You really have to. It's impossible, so you have to cut it. So the plan is I got to re-weld it there and over here, and that's how it's supposed to go. It's just the way I found out, and it was a weld tag right underneath here, which is I'm not going to weld it. It's fine. The radiator started leaking, and I will explain why, but that's how it comes out. And I actually started doing the research, and a lot of them come out from the side, so the panel needs to come off. The reason the radiator went bad, and I show you how bad it goes, it's a engineering flunk. For some of the pieces, we did not put it back. For reason being, this thing's supposed to be sitting like this, like that for some reason, and they collect dirt. And that's what happened with the radiator. It literally totally rot out. Radiators wasn't too bad. I think it was like $900, something like that with shipping. But the local dealer, Fredliner, got it for me. This motorhome, it's a Spartan chassis with the Damon, whatever the thing. It's an Escape by Damon. So if you have one of those, in the way to prevent so the radiator doesn't rot out, I think it needs to get washed, especially towards the bottom, as often as possible. So the angle iron was sitting right here, and it was like kind of goes and covers this up. And what happened is this bunch of dirt got collected, and it's just rot the radiator out. So we did not put those pieces back on, for reason being, we did not want it so it happened again. And though it took many years, but and this thing is pretty rusted, but they all are. It's just the generics of them. They're not being driven a lot. And another thing I did yesterday, they got a cluster F of wires, and right here is the main shut off for the engine batteries, and they all get corroded, and this thing had a hard time to start it. But back to the coolant deal. Since these campers don't get used a lot, so I have a pressure tester like this, and then I do have a sucker, which you basically vacuum this system out. When there's no coolant, you vacuum the system out, and you vacuum fill the coolant. So it'd be a vacuum in the coolant system, and then you stick your line in the coolant in in a 5-gallon jug where it will sit and it will suck it out. I don't know, makes sense. So I pressurized it to, this is a 13-pound cab, right? 13, yeah. I pressurized it to 15, no leaks. I vacuumed it out, so I created a vacuum and I started having a leak, and I couldn't find where the leak is. What happened is on this ISX's, not ISX's, 24 valve and ISC Cummins, they're using a similar water pump, and I noticed they will not leak. Like, they will not leak coolant under the pressure, but they will leak under a vacuum. It's amazing. And then if you do put coolant in them, they will not leak. They actually will stay, I'm sorry, dry. So, but it's not easy job, but it is doable, and I'm glad I figured out. So with this needs to go back on now. Some of it needs to like screw back on, and then this clip, the cover, whatever you want to do, it's like rubber. It's basically needs to just silicone back on, and that's it. I thought they were a little bit more sturdier, but there's really not much to them. Another step of this project is literally just sit up here and take all this glue off. So leave the comment below. This is my first video regarding RV. I never worked on them. This is the first one I actually worked on. A buddy of mine helped me. But the next stage is take the glue off and re-weld that panel. So if you end up, some reason you need to change the radiator and you run into this similar problem, like how do you take this box off? Yes, you do need to cut it off and then actually re-weld it. They are not designed to work on them, and they have a very hard to accessibility. You have to lift the bed off. You can get access, but to the radiator is just the way it is. But the coolest thing about the fan will stay by itself because the fan is hydraulic, so the fan stays behind all the radiators and it's actually bolted into the frame, and the radiators sit on a solid mount. So that's all what I got. Thanks for watching all.